I am always low. It is my curse.
All right. Hello and welcome to the RPG Academy podcast. I am Michael, and tonight we are going to do a field trip, which is when we do a one shot of a game system that we've played before, into Dungeon World. So Rocky here has been reading over the books, Dungeon World. He's really interested in wanting to run it. So this is kind of a kick the tire situation. Brad is the only one who's actually played a lot of Dungeon World. He's our expert. I've played twice. Recently played that Mask game, which was in a Powered by the Apocalypse, which I really like. So I'm hoping that maybe this version of Dungeon World I'll be more into. But please forgive us any mistakes because we're learning as we go. So again, my name is Michael at the RPG Academy on Twitter, and
I am Rocky, and I'm at Laughin' Joker, LAFFINJOKER on the tweeters. And I'll be running the game today and probably making a bunch of mistakes. But one of the things I just wanted to focus on today was basically just seeing what happens. So
all right,
we'll see what happens.
Hi, everybody. Brad Nipper at Force and Destiny. Hello.
all righty, and
I'll be right.
per
Hey, I had it first.
per
had it
sort of
before the game was
common
announced.
situation right now is it's like 2 degrees outside, and our pipes are already starting to freeze. So I'm not turning the heat off tonight.
That's not good.
So you'll probably hear some of the hum from the heater, and then the kids are home too, so there might be some overflow there, but we'll do our best. So, Brad, tell us who you are playing tonight.
I am playing Sarah Seth Herrenhath. What a mouthful, right?
Yes.
It goes by Seth as short. He is an elven warrior. So you would see him. He's kind of average height for an elf. I don't know what 5'7", something like that. Very lithe built.
Okay.
Has piercing kind of blue azure eyes. Kind of long hair, brown that he keeps like tied back, and very tan, kind of weathered skin. Like he spends a lot of time outdoors. He wears basically like a kind of along the lines of an armored greatcoat, so kind of small shoulder pauldrons, kind of like a cloth and chain thing, and he carries a hand and a half sword. As ways, it's an ancient looking sword, has a lot of faded writing on it, like maybe whether decorative or runes etched
something.
into. It's not very prominent right now. It's very faded.
And do you know how you acquired that sword yet, or have you not thought of that really? Okay.
Yes. He the sword has been passed down, so it's kind of like a family heirloom. It's
Okay.
been in his family for at least the past 10 generations.
And our elves in this world long live, so is that like 10,000 years?
Yes. No. GM.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
So yes.
you tell
Okay.
me. They
It's so
they
yes.
live for a long time, so
average lifespan. We'll say 400 years for an elf
Okay.
in this
So
world.
400 to 500 years.
Right, 400 to 500 years. So,
Gotcha.
so it's been for five-ish thousand years.
Gotcha.
And how old are you?
He's a fairly young elf. We'll say he's in his 80s, equivalent, right around 20, 21, 22 human years.
Okay.
Spry little guy, you might say.
Gotcha. We had
Is it
someone jump
so?
in.
Is it Sherasoth or Sarasoth?
Exactly. Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yep.
It is
Those.
with the elven tongue. It's pronounced Shereseth. It's actually Seth at the end.
Okay.
E. I know my handwriting's terrible and it looks like an O, but it's actually an E. So hence the nickname of Seth for
Okay.
those human people who can't pronounce those wonderful elven inflections.
Of course.
All right.
Okay. I am Michael, and tonight I am playing Davlin Summerlin. I am a human wizard. I grew up in the church. I was going to be a priest. I spent a lot of my times down in the crypts and was like translating, scribing, books over to new copies and that kind of thing. And I had a hard time getting work done because there were so many people down there that kept bothering me. Wasn't until later that I figured out that I was talking to dead people. Apparently, I can see through the veil regularly and just converse with spirits. They tell me things, sometimes things I don't want to know, but it helps me basically within the church now, I go around and try to help them figure out if there's somebody scamming the things or identifying actual artifacts of power. Because of this, though, I don't get a lot of sleep. So I have like hollow, haunted eyes. A lot of times I don't know the difference between a dead spirit and a person until like something happens. You know, I just assume everyone's either one or the other. But I'm kind of pudgy. I look a lot like Friar Tuck from the Robin Hood Men in Tights. I think that was the one.
Yeah.
I don't remember. But kind of pudgy, has the bowl cut, except my hair is really long, and I tie it up in a knot on top of my head. So it kind of looks like I have hair, but I'm not fooling anybody. I'm bald.
If it's a Disney one, you'd look like a badger. Isn't Friar Tuck a badger in the Disney one?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
That's great.
All right. So we established that you guys are from the town. There's a small village called Bright Hollow, and that's the village that is local to where you guys are now. You guys have traveled somewhere, which we're about to establish, and you guys have went through basically like this little mini dungeon, and you guys are right at the end of it. Now, you guys were sent to this dungeon by someone from the town. So I'm going to start with Michael, Davlin. Davlin and Sherazeth were sent to this crypt.
Okay.
Okay. So who in the town sent you guys to this crypt?
It was, excuse me, it was actually the baker. Her name is Evelyn, and her husband recently died, and supposedly he left her some fortune or some sort of not treasure, but something that would help her and the children get along. But he died before he was ever able to figure that out. So she sent me to go speak to him and get where the location of where this will and testament is, basically.
Okay. All right. So, okay. So, so Evelyn sent the two of you here, trying to locate her husband, who his name was.
Let's see. Her name was Evelyn. We're going to call him Reginald.
Ready.
All right. So Reginald had a lot of riches, as it was established. How did he acquire these riches?
He acquired them through a tremendous muffin sale business in the town. His wife was a baker, and he had perfected some sort of secret family recipe.
It was muffin tops.
It was
just the tops.
It was just the
Just the
tops.
top.
For the sale of muffin tops.
It's revolutionary.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best part.
So yeah, that's what he has done. They had a very successful business together. In fact, Bright Hollow was renowned for it was on the map, so to say, from their business.
Okay. And so he was buried in this crypt that is local to the town. So one of the things that they do in Bright Hollow is a long time ago, many years ago, the town was actually ransacked. And the reason it got its name Bright Hollow is because a lot of the undead rose up and actually like just ransacked the town and took it from a town to a village. Since then, they've been rebuilding it. But one of the things they learned was we're going to move all of our dead very far away. So the tomb for Bright Hollow isn't just like in the cemetery, like at the end of the road. It's actually days away. So now, one of the other things is I'm normally not going to roll, but I am combining some of the Dungeon World stuff with some of the index card RPG stuff. So I'm going to have some timers and stuff going on. So I'm just rolling randomly to get a number. So it's about 2 days away from the village itself. So you guys have traveled those 2 days trying to locate Reginald's body within the tomb. And you guys have entered the tomb, and the tomb itself is there's a huge stone entrance that marks the entryway, and there's a on the front of the tomb, on the stone that marks the entrance, is a huge sun symbol for Pelor. Basically, a lot of them worship Pelor, and they want, obviously, the people to go to the other side and be happy. So when you go into this tomb, it actually is like one main corridor that goes down, and there's like several offshoots where towards the front is some of the more, like basically the more higher standing citizens who maybe had a bit more money and stuff. And you went through and you've checked out some, like quite a few of the different sarcophagus and stuff like that. They're all labeled with like the names and stuff like that. And even though some of them have been dead for years, I mean, a lot of them haven't been dead for over 2 or 3 centuries. So like it's still engraved and you can see it, like it's not too badly worn. Moving back further into the crypt, let's see here. All right, so you actually come to there's like almost like a portcullis that comes down in front of each sarcophagus that goes to like the separate rooms, and you guys don't have a key to any of the portcullis or anything like that, but you do find one of the sections that's actually labeled, and it actually has Reginald
Mayhold.
Reginald Mayhold's. It's got his name, and it's got the year that he died, and the year he was born and everything. And then you can see through the portcullis, it actually goes back a long hallway, like maybe 60 to 80 feet, and then it opens into another chamber. It's just shrouded in pitch black, except for you can see like a soft green glow. You can see like a soft green glow that looks like where like the sarcophagus is, but there's like a soft green glow on the top of it, like whether it's hard to see from here, but it's either some sort of moss or like something that's almost lighting up the chamber in there. But from here, you've only got some of the torches that you guys have lit for this main section, but they don't obviously reach down there. And then you also have the portcullis that's blocking your way.
All right.
What would you guys like to do?
Well, I'm currently singing a 4-part harmony, but you can only hear me, but the other 3 are with me. Trust me.
Okay.
We sound great. I'm bass. I don't know how we get past this, Seth. Do you?
Well, we could always try and, I can always try and lift the gate up. It worked so well last time.
Have at it, my friend.
All right, here, hold the torch. And all right,
I go to hand it to someone, and then it
It
falls.
just falls.
Oh, yeah. All right. I got it.
Butterfinger's that guy, right? We've been traveling together for a couple days now, and I've kind of gathered that Davlin, truly believes that he talks to people. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I don't know. But so when weird things happen, I just assume that
There's a reason.
there's a reason for
There's a
it.
reason.
So I hand Davlin the torch and I walk over to this gate and kind of rub my hands together, get them all really good and warm because that helps for some reason.
Well, you're getting grit on.
That's
your
right.
hands
Yeah,
for
that's
grit.
right. I pick up some good
So the dust doesn't
dust.
make you slip.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Clear out my footing area, and I bend down to this gate, and okay, all right. Hey,
Remember
hey.
to lift with your back, not your knees.
I will. If you could get some of your friends to help out this time, it would be a lot easier.
Yeah, they're helping.
Okay, good. That's good. Thanks.
You're welcome.
And then 1, 2, 3.
All right. So while you're doing that, you can smell the.
I smelled something all right.
You can smell like the embalming fluid and like it's just like stale air, like just permeates this whole entire section of this tomb. And then go ahead and give me your roll for your in
That's
the
a-
gates or whatever it's called.
That is a 3.
Okay. So you start to lift the portcullis and it seems like it's like rusted shut almost, even though it was recently opened. It seems like some moisture has got in the air and stuff down here, and that whenever they opened it, probably for his like funeral and everything, like it's let air in here, like moisture in here, and it's like kind of sat around, and it's rusted a lot of the bars and stuff. When you finally are able to like jerk this open, it crashes into the ceiling and it opens. But when it does, you see the glow of the up ahead actually gets really bright, and you actually see that there are they kind of remind you of like the dwarven like the kegs. Like they're almost like the mini kegs. They're about that big. But there's these huge beetles, and the whole backs of them just glow green with like this acidic fire almost. And when you slam this to the ceiling, you see these you can see at least 3 of the beetles like brighten, and they turn and their wings start flapping super rapidly, and they look pissed off that you've disturbed them.
Really? As I got the gate up there, this thin little elf guy is just struggling to hold this gate up. Evelyn, is that supposed to happen?
No.
Are they supposed to do that?
No. Yeah. You're really in trouble.
Oh, great. Are we going in? We going in?
Oh yeah, I'll slide under and get on the other side.
Okay. Can you just wedge that thing under there before they do that?
I'll find like a rock or something and just try to plug in there, or at least keep it from going all the way to the ground if it closes.
Okay.
Okay.
So
we'll kind of try to wedge that in there and let it go.
all right. So I'm going to have you do a defy danger.
Okay.
With him as the bad guy, but using probably your strength if you're going to try to use your strength to shove the rock in, but unless you can come up with something else.
That will be a 9.
What kind of weird D8,
These
D6
are
is that?
D12s that go to 6 twice because I hate D6s.
He does. He absolutely, of course,
Yeah, so
D6s.
that would be a 9 because I have no strength adjustment.
A 9. Okay. So, what's the defy danger things?
Well,
Oh, yeah.
I stumble, hesitate, or flinch. So you will offer me a worse outcome, a hard bargain, or an ugly choice.
Okay, so as you're sliding the rock into the crevice to try to hold the porculus up, he thinks that you've got it in there, and he's going to let it go. When he lets it go,
I'm going to say, don't let it go yet, right as he lets it go.
and right as he does, it's either going to like come down on you as you're going through, and you're going to make it in, or it's going to separate the two of you where it comes down, but you're on the outside still because you were still putting it up this way and you hadn't got through yet when it started to come down.
We'll be separated.
that's clearly the best option.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So as you're like shoving this rock up in there, like it's you think it's good.
I'm talking to someone. I'm like I've got it. This is where it needs to go. Why do you keep bugging? So it just takes me too long, and I'm not quite ready.
And then he lets it go, and instead of staying there, it kind of shakes and then immediately like falls with the weight and just slams into the ground. And as that happens, these like 2 of the beetles, the huge like beetles, start rising up, and they start coming down this corridor towards you, and you can see them light up like the wet flagstone walls as the like with a green glow as they're like coming towards you. What would you do?
Karst, that's not good. All right, so I'll turn and face them, and so we're going to fight our way out of here, or maybe get me out of here somehow. You work on that, and I'll draw my sword.
We'll put the brain trust together. I'll do like a little Three Stooges huddle by myself.
Great, yeah. I will draw my sword from its sheath and hold it in a rather menacing stance, and get out of here, you. Oh God, it's gonna suck. kind of says they come at me, I guess, and I will have two at them.
Okay. So you're just going to try to murder bait them?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So
Because I don't, acid and me don't get along.
no, it doesn't.
No.
So as they're coming down towards you, one of them like hits the ground, and you can see that although they're kind of awkward flyers, you can see that their shell isn't like a normal beetle. Like it looks like it's like super tough and sturdy.
Oh, good.
But it hits, and when it hits the ground, you hear like a solid like clack as it hits from the sheer weight of this thing. Because it's, like I said, it's about the size of like a small dwarven keg.
Wow.
So it hits, and it turns towards you, and it looks like its abdomen starts glowing quite heavily, and it's starting to brighten. And then I'm going to have you do a hack and slash.
I think they want to be friends.
Noted. I can't come up with any beetle puns. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah. So I will
Looks like
wade
we're
in
gonna play
and-
this shell game after all.
So I think this thing's gonna spit at me. At least it's kind of what I think anyway. I guess its mouths are kind of going.
Well, it looks like it's coming out the back of it.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll just stay in the front of it
It's going
then.
to spit at you with its back mouth.
That's
But
a
you were trying
terrible
to
spit.
attack it, right?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
I'm gonna smack it.
All right.
I'm gonna cleave my sword. Take a big two-hand, or grab it with both hands and bring it down to try to cleave this the first beetle. And that is going to be an 11.
All right.
Stab him with the pointy end.
So what would you like to do? You get to either avoid its attack, or you can do extra damage.
I think I would like to avoid its attack
Okay.
rather
So
than deal the extra damage.
roll your damage in.
So that will be 5 points damage with piercing 2.
All right. So as you see, like its rear start to light up, and it starts spraying just this cone of just. You can hear it as it's hitting the flagstone, and it's like sizzling as it hits. And you manage to sidestep it and just bring your sword across the back of this thing, and you hit it, and you feel like the solid chunk as it goes into it. And you said it does 5 damage and 2 piercing?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so you hit this thing, and as you hit it, almost immediately, like the glow like starts to simmer down, and it stops like chittering, and it just looks like it's loose on the end of your blade, and you put your foot on the body, and you wrench your sword free. And then what did you want to do?
So, did that take that one out or no?
That one doesn't look like it's moving anymore. That one looks like it's dead.
All right, so I'm going to look around at all my friends, and this is a tomb of a lot of different people have died here, including some woodsmen's. So there's one of these ghostly apparitions that I can see that has a bow, and I'm gonna be like, "Hey, would you mind shooting that one?" And I'm gonna have one of the ghosts shoot an arrow. So just for a second, its translucent form will become a little bit more solid, and it's actually gonna shoot an arrow at one of the other beetles.
All right, give me your spell roll.
Cool.
And this is going to be magic missile, right?
Yep, that's 11.
All right, so that's a hit. So
That is 2d4 damage.
that, I think. Hold on a minute. I think there's a thing if you cast a spell where. Is it similar where you can do more damage or something, or
No.
no? It's just
No.
your damage.
Yeah. Well, a lot of that reason for that, a lot of magic ignores armor, things like that
Yeah.
often.
6.
Does that ignore armor?
I don't know. I had to read the spell.
I don't think it does.
It just says projectiles of pure magic energy spring from your fingers, which we are not doing. Deals 2d4 damage to one target. Doesn't say anything
All
about
right,
armor.
so
Excuse me.
for a brief second, Sherazeth feels like a cold, like almost like the temperature just dropped like 5 degrees in this crypt.
See my
And
breath in front of me.
yeah, and you see behind one of the beetles, you see that behind it, like a image of like a warrior comes into view of an elf with a bow, and an ethereal arrow just shoots and just slams into the other beetle that's right in front of you. And as it hits this thing, it just goes straight through the back of its head. And although the arrow like doesn't look like it's really there, you can see like just the poison like just start dissipating all over the ground, like where it's just pouring out of its head. And it also goes motionless.
Awesome.
So now there's just the one beetle that's like still kind of at the end down where the sarcophagus is.
I'm gonna give
Like-
a big high five to nobody.
Okay.
Great job.
What's it doing?
It
I'll stand and watch it for a minute after I kind of got the hunk of the first one off my blade, and I've got it held up defensively in front of me, like I'm gonna catch the acid with the blade or something like that, like that's gonna do anything, and I'm gonna watch it for a second. What is it doing?
so it looks like for some reason it looks like the sarcophagus is closed, but there's a piece of parchment sitting on top of it. And if you recall, when Evelyn and when the funeral occurred, she actually they actually put the recipe on top of some of the villagers did. They put the recipe on top of the sarcophagus, is what you believe. And that's what you believe this parchment is. And it looks like this thing is about to chew on this parchment.
Oh no! I kind of grit my teeth and
And I'm going to roll a timer real quick. It's a 1.
okay.
I suggest you hurry.
I'm gonna grit my teeth and yell and charge in basically blindly. I'm trying to make as much noise, screaming at the top of my lungs at this thing, trying to distract it, maybe get it to focus on me. And I'm going to run in as fast as I can for that sheet of paper.
Okay. And so are you running in to try to grab the paper? Are you running in to try to hit the beetle? Or are you like, what are you trying to do?
What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to
Or defend the parchment? I mean,
now what I'm going to try to do is basically I'm going to try and run in and kind of
interfere maybe?
dive over the top of the parchment, or kind of like dive over the top of the sarcophagus, grab the parchment, and kind of roll off to the other side. Was my intent on this. So it's probably a defensive action, I think, really, because I'm defending the parchment. That's my goal.
Yeah. I mean, either one, I would let you defy danger or do the defend action. But whichever one
I'll
you
defy
think
the
sounds
danger
better.
of the
All right.
beetle.
Well, that sounds like Dex to me.
All right. That's gonna be a 9.
A 9.
A 9.
So you see the beetle, he actually like snaps his mandibles together onto the parchment as you grab it. And you dive and go over and grab you actually grab the parchment and you roll and make it out the other side. And you just hear the sound of ripping as you make it to the other side. It starts to rip. You can choose to either take its attack with its mandibles, or you can let the parchment rip and you'll be fine.
I'll take the brunt.
Okay, so it chooses to let go of the parchment as you grab onto it, and then I'll have you roll a. Hold on a minute. I just brought it up.
So I'm still learning how Periscope works, but we're also broadcasting on Periscope. And according to my phone, there's 3 people watching on Periscope. So
Hi.
say hello and
Hello, 3 people.
let us know that you're there and leave us a note.
They all look like poison beetles.
Yeah.
Shit, we just killed our watchers.
Yeah, they died. Okay, so go ahead and roll a d6 for me.
1d6 check. That's 3.
All right, so you take 3 poison damage, and
Okay.
it's not reducible by armor.
Okay.
So what happens is it lets go of you so that it can turn around, and it braces almost like a skunk does. And you just feel like the spray of acid like hits you, and it
Just
your-
washes all over
your
you.
armor feels great. But the sections where your armor doesn't cover, like your face and your hands and stuff, it does not feel good.
Not so good.
Hank
Ouch.
says, "Look out!"
Thanks, Hank.
And then what will you do?
I've got the paper. I'm gonna run.
Okay, so
I'm gonna run back.
You're
Run back to the sarcophagus, or run back to the cage, or to the
to the porcupine.
yeah, that
Okay.
portcullis there.
So defy danger for me, because you're on the opposite side of the sarcophagus now. So you have to get around this one. Going back.
Okay. That will be an 8.
Okay. So it brings its wings out and it starts flapping them super fast, and it starts slowly like coming towards you, but you're able to like you outrun it pretty quickly, so you're able to get down, but then you get to the porculus,
I'm gonna put
which is closed at the
one
moment.
foot on one bar and try to like pull it open just enough for him to jump through. He's a lithe elf, as we've established. He's not very wide. He can probably fit through there.
Okay.
So I'm gonna try to open it just enough for him to squeeze through.
So give me an aid check with or are you actually trying to open it?
I'm just trying to like bend the bars just enough temporarily for him to squeeze through.
Okay. Just do an aid check, and if you're successful, then you're
So how do you do
able
that?
to
Is it
hold
just
it.
a straight roll?
It's gonna be. I'm just doing an aid check with strength, because that's what I think you're doing.
3.
A 3.
Three.
So, you.
Fail.
All right. So you lift the bars, and you are actually able to like.
Well, I'm not trying to lift it up. Like there's multiple, like a cell. I'm holding on to one and put my foot on the other. And I was just trying to bow them apart enough for him to jump through this way, not underneath.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
All right. So. All right. So go ahead and roll me a d6.
6. Yeah, now I get a 6.
All right. So the yes. Yeah. So the so as you're bending it, you're able to pull it back enough to where you get a big enough gap to where it looks like he could probably make it through. And as you're doing that, it actually snaps off the top part, and it comes out of the like little hole that's holding it, and it actually like comes out in your hand. And as that happens, the beetle, like he gets up there and he starts to try to come through, and the beetle just hits the it hits the like him and you. So you also need to roll a d6. But
3.
all right, so you take 3 as a lot of your armor and the bars are able to stop you from taking the full hit of it, but a lot of it like hits you almost right in the face, like, and it does not feel good. So you just feel like excruciating pain, as like it just feels like
Like
your face is on
Aquavelva?
fire.
Oh, I'm sorry. So the beetle acidified us again. It didn't slam into there, is what I thought you were saying.
No,
It shot a blast.
it went there and then shot a blast at you
Got it,
guys
got it,
with
got
the but you made it through. So
Okay.
now you're through. You guys are both on the same side, and the beetle, like it's just hovering there. Like it doesn't look like it's trying to come through there, for whatever reason. You don't really know that right now, but
Let's get out of here, Devlin.
All right, I'll put the bar.
No, just leave it. Just leave it.
I'll just kind of make it look right. Yeah, looks good. All right, see you, Hank.
Tell Hank to do it. He'll hold it.
Wasn't I supposed to talk to Reginald?
No.
okay. So, give me a discern realities roll on
Are
this
we?
parchment to see what if this is actually the recipe or not.
That's a 4.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with a 9. 11. 11.
So it's the classic. I don't know what this is, and he takes it
So-
and turns it upside right.
No. You open the parchment and it just covered in this poison stuff, and it's just like eating through a lot of the ink and stuff, and you can't really read it. because you got an 11.
Yes.
He got a 3.
Uh,
Together that makes a 7.
got it. 11, 7.
All right. You go kill the other beetle. I'll talk to Reginald, and I'll just get it straight from him.
Fair enough. I don't want to kill the other beetle.
Well, then just make a pet out of it. Just get it away so that it doesn't shoot me in the face. Like, this is as good as it gets. I can't let it get any worse than this.
All right. Okay, I got an idea. I will walk over, kind of back down the hall towards the portcullis there. Does the beetle kind of still see the beetle in there?
Yeah, it's just, but now it's just, it's not as bright. Like, it doesn't look like it's angry, but it's like just walking around on the ground, like in that main hallway that goes back to the sarcophagus.
What do they eat?
Parchment, I
Yeah,
guess.
apparently paper.
Okay.
That or they're really hardcore against litter.
Yeah, maybe. I'll reach out. I'll pull out use a.
One of the things you recall was when you ran in there real quick, there was a strong odor of like mold and like dampness. Like it didn't feel the same as what it feels. Like it still feels like kind of damp and stuff, but it just felt like there was a strong odor of mold like back down there.
Right. Okay. Well, what I will do is I will pull out reach in my bag and pull out like a part of my ration pack that I have, and pull off like some bread, some like maybe like hardtack bread kind of.
Yeah. Like a ration.
Yeah, I'm gonna use a ration.
Okay.
basically.
The other thing I forgot is it sounded like you were trying to use a move there, which would have been spout lore to see what you know.
Oh, yeah.
What
Well,
the
that's
beetle eats
true.
and stuff. So do that first, and then
Snake eye.
you're
I don't
pretty
know.
sure they're beetles.
Yeah, they're beetles. This should work.
You're about 80% sure they're beetles. The other 20% is not that sure. But so you've never really you've heard of like fire beetles, which are kind of similar, but they have fire and stuff. But you've never heard of ones with like the green glow and like the poison and the acid and stuff. Like,
Yeah, I don't think they're real. I think they're just like dead beetles that we're imagining.
Oh, so what you're saying is we're getting some cave moss and some swamp gases causing us
Exactly.
to hallucinate. Okay.
Hallucinate. Yep.
Fair enough.
Weather balloons.
Right, reflecting off the light of Venus.
Yep. Perfect.
Good.
but you did hear a story back in a little place called Bright Hollow that if you feed them like rations, it's almost like turning the alligator on its belly and rubbing it. Like,
is that gremlins? Do they like
Yeah.
multiply?
well, no, they're just like,
turn over. I'm gonna feed it
it
rations.
just makes them
slowly.
docile.
I'll take some bread out and here, little guy, kind of toss it in at him and throw some dried jerky at him too, and a lump of cheese, right? Because that'll go well.
You
Sounds
all
good
your,
to me.
You got all
I
your food
mean,
groups there.
Right.
It's a good triangle. We need a big
All right.
jar. We should keep it in the jar and shake it
So,
off.
One use of that there, and wait and see what happens.
All right. So, as you start walking up towards it, with your ration in hand, and its mandibles start clicking together real quick, and it starts to get brighter again as you're approaching it, and you start.
I'm going to stay back a little bit and kind of toss the pieces to him.
Remember, it's
and,
not the
I'm
words
also
you
going
say; it's
to-
how you say them. Nonverbal.
Here, beetly, beetly, beetly.
All right. So its wings come up again, and it starts going towards the beef jerky that you threw on the ground, and it goes straight past it. Roll 1d6.
4.
So you take 4 damage, but it's biting you with its mandible, so you can reduce it by your armor. If you have
Okay,
any.
so as it lays into me, I just gonna start bashing it.
The other thing is, I'm going to give you inspiration for acting on your horrible information about beetles. So, with inspiration, I'm just going to do it where, whenever you choose to use it, you roll an extra d6, and you can replace one of your d6 with the extra one you roll.
Okay.
So you have that now.
So it bites into me, and I will scream in pain and a rage, and just start beating it with my hand because I got nothing in my hand. Is there a rock like on the
Oh,
ground.
yeah.
I'll grab a rock and
This
pick
is
it
like
up
a
and
flagstone floor, like with like bits of dirt. Like
I
in
reach down
between.
and grab one of the reaching for a rock, and it's actually a whole loose flagstone that comes up, and I just start beating into this thing with it.
All right, give me a hack and slash.
Oh, that's actually going to be a 6. Because I'm not using my sword, it's based off strength, and I have a -1 strength mod, so I rolled 7, -1 is 6.
It's a precise rock. No.
Yeah.
It is a roundish.
So what is that, a 6?
6.
Okay, so I've been messing up.
Okay.
Every time you guys fail, you're supposed to mark an experience.
Yeah.
So you get an experience.
Mhm.
Good job. And then I know you failed on the parchment, didn't you?
At least once.
Okay.
I've got
And
twice
then
now.
twice. Okay.
Yeah.
So just mark that. Just
Yep.
mark whatever you want. And then so like you start hitting it with this rock, and you're hitting this thing's shell,
Mhm.
and it's just doing nothing. Like it is angry, and it's gonna actually like it. It's almost when like a praying mantis like hooks onto something, it just holds onto it. So while you're hitting it, it has its mandibles around your
course, of
leg,
course.
and it's just pressuring, putting more and more pressure. So go ahead and roll me a d6,
All right. A 3.
and you take that, and it is reduced by your armor.
Well, in that case, as it's biting on me, I'm trying to shake it off, and lots of screaming, cursing coming out. And I pull the sword out, drop the rash, and I'm just gonna impale it,
Okay,
bring it down, and just try to impale this thing.
sounds good.
8, 9.
All right, and what will you choose?
I am going to try to take no damage from this attack. So I'm going to bring the sword down and maybe catch it up by the eye and such that it'll let me go
Get
at
its
the top of the
thorax.
head.
Oh, wait a minute. What did you get?
That
9.
is a 9.
Oh, 9. Okay, yeah, you don't get a choice. Sorry, just kidding.
Okay.
Jokes.
So, got him. So, on the 10 or higher, you have the choice.
Oh, yeah,
With
no
the 7
choice
and
for me.
9. Yeah. Okay, so go ahead and roll your damage.
10.
Nice.
Yeah, that'll motivate it. And then go ahead and
6.
roll a d6, but basically it releases your leg, and it turns and sprays you right as you stab it.
It does this thing where it goes, and then falls over.
6.
All right, so it sprays you with the poison again, but you don't.
Uh-huh.
Instead, I'm not going to have you take damage. I shouldn't have did that. Don't roll for that. So put your hit points back up.
Okay.
So you're going to have the debility poisoned.
Oh, good.
So because as it hits you, like you're screaming at it as you like drop your sword down into it, and the poison like hits your eyes and your mouth and stuff, and you immediately start feeling woozy and like you're just it's extremely excruciating painful, like with this stuff all over you, and you're like you kill this thing easily, like it dies, and you
Right.
just drive your sword down through it, and you actually hear the tink as it hits the flagstone below the
Well,
beetle.
What I like to think happened is that at the very beginning of this fight, when you were beating Murdervated yourself, I was going to walk up and go, it looks like you got this. I'm going to go talk to Reggie. Here's a vial of anti-poison just in case you need it. And then I'm going to walk away. So I'll be down the hallway the whole time this is happening.
Nice.
Okay. So the
As you're talking about comically, there's this all going on in the background.
Exactly.
Get it off!
You're like running back and forth like with your hair's on fire.
Right.
it down back there. I'm trying to talk to
Yeah.
the dead.
This
I
isn't
need-
an exact science.
I need dead silence.
Do you have a pen? Never mind. I'll get one.
Can I get that piece of parchment you had? Okay, so so you get sprayed. Obviously,
Yeah.
that's not
Yeah.
nice.
No.
And so therefore you were poisoned.
I'm
So-
poisoned.
He says that he gave you an antitoxin
Yep.
before he went down there.
Yep.
And so what is Davlin doing?
So I'm going to go down to the crypt and I'm going to talk to Reggie and get the.
Well, first, hold on a minute. So you get down there and you get to the crypt, and you can see that within this crypt, it's like a small chamber, and it's a square chamber, and it's like maybe 25 by 25, and the hallway enters right in the center of the thing, and you've got the sarcophagus right there. You've noticed that one of the far corners of this sarcophagus or of this chamber has collapsed, and it's like there's full of mold and stuff, and you can see that it actually goes up like to the night sky.
Do you want beetles? Because this is how you get beetles.
Yeah, this is how you get beetles.
This is how you get beetles.
But the sarcophagi is closed,
Okay.
so
So I'm going to.
you have to be able to like see him to commune with him. I
I
think.
don't actually have to see him. I just have to call forth to him, so I can coax him out of the sarcophagus. But this is an actual roll rather than
Okay.
just flavor. So
Yeah.
I'm going to actually try to contact the spirit of Reggie.
Okay.
Come on, Reggie. That would be 6, 7, 8.
All right. And where's the doesn't have cast a spell. So choose one of your things for your spell that you'd like. So you are successful, so it will happen this time. But then you can either choose to have a -1 until you
Put yourself in a spot.
till you rest, or you can put yourself in a bad position,
For this one,
or you could forget the spell.
I don't want to forget the spell, so I'll just take the -1 because I couldn't see him. It taxed my energies a little bit more than I was expecting, so I'm kind of weakened from it.
Okay. So from now on, when you do a spell, you'll have a -1.
Yep.
Well, you'll still have your other stuff.
Right. It's a +1 now. For the first two.
All right. So you try to contact him, and what do you say to him?
Reggie, we need to know where your last will and testament is because Evelyn doesn't have the money you left her, and she's about to get evicted. So, could you tell me where this stuff is at?
So you see him talking to a sarcophagus, and it seems really weird because nothing's happening.
I'm honestly not super worried about that right now.
But it really
I'm
looks like
fighting a
he's
beetle.
having a real heart-to-heart with this sarcophagus. But you have your own problems.
Yes.
It's probably hard for you to see down there with
I
all
have
the
no
stuff
idea
in
what
your
he's doing
face.
down there.
Yeah. So as you say this, you actually like see like an ethereal form like come out of the sarcophagus and kind of sit up, and it's not like shaped like a person though. It's almost just like a glowing light, almost like a will-o-wisp type thing.
Oh,
So it's glowing, and it says to you like, "How do you know my darling Evelyn?"
she sent me here to speak with you. She misses you terribly.
I miss her too. I hope it's many moons before she joins me, though. I'm sure she will. Tell me again what it is you need.
Your last will and testament. There's some rights issues. The mayor of the town is basically saying that he would own your bakery because there's no actual documentation because everything was in your name. But Evelyn is under the impression that you had a will made where you established that she was the heir to all of your fortune, but we can't find it.
He says, no, he's like, I will not do that to Evelyn. I appreciate you coming to me this day. He's like, I can tell you where my will is, and the recipe to the bakery. Tell her that she needs to go to the rolling pin, and within the rolling pin that I always use, it hangs on the wall. All she needs to do is unscrew the end of it, and there is a scroll container inside, and it has the parchment of my will and my it has the
Always
will
money in
and
a
the
banana
recipe. And he says, I always kept it with me. And he's like, I can't believe I never thought to tell her before I passed.
Well, you did die a tragic accident, you know.
Yes, I did. And then
How did he die?
that's what I was just going to ask you. Was
Sorry.
he just died a tragic accident? How did he die?
Oh, how did he die?
Yeah, that's
Well, so unfortunately for our good friend Reginald, he had received a new batch, or he had sent some poor individuals to go acquire a rare ingredient for one of his extra special muffin recipes. They were supposed to get something like, they're supposed to get a certain rare herb, and they got, instead of an herb, they got a rare herb. And
Common mistake.
right, and unfortunately for them, that turned out to be he had a severe reaction to it and died. It was one of those, it was, the thing that's like where the poison is right next to the cure,
Yep.
and they accidentally grabbed the poison.
Abby somebody.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
He died with herb on his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So unfortunately, his last he ate his last muffin, and it was
so give me a spout lore check.
nine.
Okay, so I tell you something useful. It's up to you to make it useful. Okay, so he tells you, he says I know I don't understand how. He's like, I've made this recipe so many times that it wasn't normal, but he said there was a taste almost of like a nutty, almost almondy flavor in the but I don't use that ingredient. Like, it doesn't make sense. He's like, I had to have been poisoned. Like, and he says, oh, well, as long as you can tell her the information, that's what's important to me. And then he, like, starts to fade, and then the light fades, and then he disappears.
Give him a last blessing on his journey through the veil. I will jot down any notes I need to make sure that I don't forget anything specific, and then I'll come back up and find you in ragged condition.
When you find Seth, he's actually sitting down on the ground near the portcullis, and there's a hacked up, carved, like almost in like 8 pieces of a beetle sitting there, and he's actually kind of got you find the torch, and it's sitting in the beetle at this point, and he's sitting there, and he's kind of wiping his face off with like a rag and using his water skin and trying to clean up from it, and he's got a bandage wrapped up around his leg. His boot and pants leg are all just torn up, and
Break time's over, man. We gotta go.
Yeah, how was Reginald? Did you talk to Reggie?
Yeah. He thinks he was poisoned, actually. This could be a murder.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did he say anything else?
So when
he doesn't like to mix nuts and muffins together. Apparently that's bad.
When he says this, you recall that like the townsfolk said that that he was basically accidentally, that he was allergic to it and all this kind of stuff. But when he's telling you that he was poisoned, and you start to think, actually, that kind of makes more sense, because why would a chef use something that he knows that he's allergic to or something like that? So, but I'll leave you guys with that.
That does make some sense. You say anything else?
Yeah, he told me where the documentation is. It's actually hidden inside his rolling pin.
Oh.
Yeah. So unscrew the handle, and there's like a little space in there.
There's a scroll holder in there.
Yeah.
So,
roll on back to town.
Yep.
Bad pin.
How
bad pun?
Injured are you? I know you've got some scars.
I'm okay. I mean, I've had worse.
You can see like blisters and stuff on his face, and like what for your armored coat thing? Does it cover your hands or?
It's like
or
no.
your hands
I mean,
exposed?
it's like a coat. So his hand, he wears gloves and whatnot, but they're probably torn up pretty well from everything. So he needs a new set of gloves. Maybe his coat's got some nice burn marks in it. His, like I said, is his, because it was biting on his leg and whatnot. So his pants leg is all ripped up. It's probably running blood red and whatnot. Boots all torn up and everything.
And you were able to like take off like the shin guard part of your armor and like get it back to where it was bent back to where it should be.
Oh, okay.
So like it's
Pull out
not
the rock and kind of
it's not permanently damaged or anything like that, but you're able to get it like back to how it should be. But it's still all bloody and
Oh,
all
yeah.
that stuff. Like that hasn't changed.
Okay.
So the so you guys
Okay
are
for
2
the
days
trip to
away
town.
from town, and the so you guys know this area like really well and stuff. So
Mhm.
you're not taking a dangerous journey or anything like that. But you will need to like make camp one of the nights. So
Okay.
you guys basically you probably got here around the evening of the second night, and so you'd probably make camp tonight and then maybe one more time before you got back or whatever. But nothing's going to happen, but there is a chance that something happens on one of the days. So
Sure.
Okay.
so when you make camp,
Well, I want to go ahead and I will cast a healing spell since we're going to rest, and I should theoretically get them back even if I mess up.
Oh.
So, would
Oh.
you like the healing, or would you like for me? Because I'm down a few.
Take care of yourself.
All right.
You take care of yourself first,
All right, so I'm going to.
because you can't heal me if you're hurt, right? Yeah, that's it.
So I'm going to summon a
Not at
bunch of
all.
spirits, and they're actually going to like come into my body, and their presence within me allows my body to heal faster
So-
for some reason.
Are the spirits visible when you do this?
Like you can catch glimpses of them. Like to me, they're fine.
Right.
They're very visible, but to you, you just probably see some every now and some outlines. and
Have I
shapes.
seen you do this before?
Probably.
Man, I never get used to that.
8, 9, 9.
9.
9.
so you did the -1, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it should be +2, but now it's +1 because I'm at -1 from my
All right.
+2.
So I don't know why this doesn't have the cast a spell thing, but
Because it's a class move. It's not a basic
so
move.
you're successful. So you have to choose one of the things.
I'll
Either
go with
another
it.
-1.
I'll go that it's
lose the spell.
forgotten since we're presumably resting, and I will be
Yeah.
able to get it back
Hopefully
the next day.
recover.
Anyways, so how much how much does that heal? I don't know.
A D8.
D8.
The reason it's not on here is because
'Cause it's a
this is
class move.
it's a class move, not a basic move.
6, exactly what I needed. Thank you, spirits. I'll high five nobody again.
He high fives the air.
Yeah. But I feel like I'm cool. I do like this really
Oh,
complicated.
nice. Nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. Very good. Very good.
So you see some of his blisters kind of recede back to
Mhm.
where they're just kind of red marks on his face, and he looks way healthier than you do.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely. Most definitely.
The spirits are kind.
That's
So-
good.
What would you guys like to do?
Rest.
Yeah.
So you're gonna make camp? for the
Yes.
night?
I'm going to make camp, and I'm going to make a nice meal. I might even.
I will eat.
You know what? I'll even use the equivalent of like a nice hearty meal. So like maybe 2 rations worth for the Friar and I.
No
because
almonds.
Well-
Just, you know.
no almonds.
No
Yeah,
almonds.
we'll avoid the almonds and the arsenic, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a good idea. Actually, you don't want to eat. You
No,
don't do
it's
it.
bad for you.
So
Gives you that nutty breath and the
yeah.
bluish
So
fingernails.
you guys are able to make camp. So you can consume a ration, and so you will recover half of your max hit points, and if you have enough XP to level up, you can. I think you both do, don't you?
Should,
yeah.
yes.
Level +7.
So I cheated
Yeah.
because I was starting them at the end of this adventure, or the end of this dungeon. I had them roll. We have a fighter, so I just had them roll a D10. I had them both roll a D10, and whoever got the highest was how much XP that person would get, and then whoever rolled the lowest would get 1 less than the highest. So Sheriff Seth rolled a 7, and then, or no, wait.
Yeah, that's right. I rolled a 6 and he rolled a 7.
Yeah.
Devlin rolled a 7 and I rolled a 6.
Davlin rolled a 7. Sheriff Seth rolled a 6, so it ended up working out anyways. So do you have enough to level up?
I do.
Okay. So you get to increase your. All right. So you did your strength by
increase
one,
one stat by one.
making it +0 instead.
Yep.
All right.
And I will choose a move.
I'm
So-
going to go with Prodigy, which allows me to take one of my spells and cast it as if it was one level lower. So does that mean I can take a level 1 spell and treat it like a cantrip?
I don't know.
I've never found a.
I don't think so because
No, because
Oh.
cantrips aren't
Cantrips-
leveled spells.
Yeah.
Is how. That's how I've always interpreted it. But
Son of a bitch.
by
but
far
you
from
also
a
get another spell
Dungeon
too,
World
just so you know.
Master. So
And when you memorize spells, you'll memorize.
now, what you can do with that is you
Three.
remember it's not a cantrip. It doesn't become a cantrip, but it becomes a level 0 spell. So your spell, if it was level 1, is then treated as a level 0 spell. So because you memorize spells up to your level +1,
Yeah.
a number of levels, so it will let you always prepare that
Uh,
spell.
so
It
now
doesn't
you'll-
count.
Now
against.
you'll be level 2, so you'll get 3 spells memorized per day, but you could count that as
Gotcha.
0, so you would end up being able to memorize 4.
Aha.
Just with the spell stuff, when you take the -1, is that to every spell or just to that spell?
It's when you cast spells. It's because it's a -1 forward to cast a spell.
Oh, okay.
So
the cast
if-
a spell, yeah.
For say you would have for example, if you multiclassed and you say, I don't know, picked up cleric spellcasting also,
Mm,
I would have them both count. Even though they're two separate moves,
yeah.
it just depends on the flavor of your world. If magic is all
You're
magic,
still drawing the magic energy or
Right.
whatever, so
I would definitely say it depends on the flavor of your world.
Does anything happen with hit points or
so your hit
abilities?
points, you recover half of your hit points.
I mean, since we level, do they go up, or is it just we have
No.
what we have forever?
It's
You-
there's if you increase your constitution score, because you get 1 point to do the actual score itself. So if you increase your constitution score, then it'll go up. Other than that, it doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah, so you would increase one of your stats by 1 when you level up.
Right. So right now I can do that.
Yeah.
Ooh. Ooh. Okay.
Does it have on there the range, like what it makes it?
It's right here on the front.
Okay, yeah.
So it's like assign these scores as you are. When you get up to an 18, you get a +3,
Yeah.
and the maximum is 18.
And then 16 and 17 is a +2, and then
15 is a 1, 13 is a 1. Also, 12 is nothing, and then 8 is a -1.
yeah, it's
Uh-huh.
9 to 12 is a 0.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's kind of got some different numbers.
All right. I am leveled.
Okay, so the other thing is, you guys might as well just go to full hit points because you have 2 days travel. So you're gonna
I already was anyways.
you're
Yeah,
gonna travel.
after that first night, I was much,
Okay.
much better.
So when you make camp, you normally just get half your max hit points. So whatever that is. So after the first day, you guys are kind of haunted by some weird dreams, and you see, it's you see basically two eyes floating in the darkness, and they're just like flames. They flicker kind of like flames, but it's not on fire, but it but staring into the eyes, it's actually black eyes with just small thin red rings around the outside. And you recognize this. It's kind of like the cat eye with the vertical thing, and you can tell that this is some sort of demon or something. And you just have a sense of dread after that first night, and it just something feels off, and you feel like you need to get back to town. It just something about it, you guys haven't traveled a whole lot anyways, but now for whatever reason, like it feels like you need to get back to town, and like like something's up. So
I'll contact one of my
kind of
spirits
ominous.
and send it ahead to warn people, but no one will be able to know because they can't see ghosts.
Okay. So they're like knocking stuff off shelves and stuff. And they're like, "What are you warning us about?" We're like, "Well, we don't really know exactly." But so there's just kind of like a sense of dread, like as you're traveling. And like really it should be upbeat. Like you've like did what you set out to do. Like you got the information you needed for Evelyn, and like you're on your way back there and everything should be good. You guys make camp. You kind of wake up. I don't know if you guys normally sleep in or what you guys normally do, but this night you do not. Like you actually wake up a little early, and you're like, well, we might as well just start because, like, you pack up your camp and you make way. As you guys make camp and you've like break down your camp and you start moving towards the town. You get nearby, and you crest a hill, and the town of Bright Hollow it's kind of nestled in like a little bit of a valley, and with some low rising hills like surrounding it and stuff. And as you crest this hill, you can actually see the wind is kind of going away from you, and that's why you didn't see that there's actually several trails of like black and white smoke coming up from some of the like thatch houses and stuff like that. And Sherazeth, your heart immediately drops. Like you are worried about someone in the town. Who is it? Or why does your heart drop? Maybe it's not someone, maybe it's something or something like that.
Well, it would actually be it's because he's worried about his betrothed. You know, elves have very long mating rituals or courting rituals, so it takes you're engaged for like, I don't know, 50 years before you actually get married, because elven culture. And her name, we will go with let's get away from an E name. We'll say call her Alora, is somewhere in a town. Or
how do I spell that?
Aloura. Aloura.
Okay, Alora.
Right? That works.
Yeah, sure. And what's Alora's last name?
I don't know, I don't know, Devlin. What's Alora's last name?
She's an elf.
Mayhold.
Yeah.
Same as Reginald.
Everyone has a Silvermane.
Okay.
She's a redhead. It's ironic.
It is. I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah.
Actually. Okay.
We're good with that. Silvermane.
Silvermane, totally great, perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. The family
So,
name.
It's family name.
Right.
All right. So your heart immediately sinks, and you think of Alora.
Mm-hmm.
You know that she's been staying in town, and now you're starting to question whether she's okay or not.
Absolutely.
You're still a ways off. It's kind of hard to see like individual things or people or anything like that, but you can definitely see like the smoke rising.
Mm-hmm.
And what will you guys like to do?
In fact, I'm going to start running and tell Devlin, pick it up, Devlin.
Don't worry, I sent Hank on earlier to tell her to be safe, so she should be fine.
No doubt. I gotta go.
All right, I'll be right behind you.
I'm torn between my desire to protect my friend and her, but I think I'm just gonna. We're close to town anyway. I mean, does this look like a large fire or multiple fires?
Give me a discern realities check. Kind of like a scouting roll. Almost.
Yeah, that's gonna be a. We're gonna call that a 2.
Fire!
Yes.
Fire! There's definitely a fire.
It may not be fire. No, it may just be burning in your eyes from the poison.
It could
No.
be. It could be. I
No.
haven't seen a lot of strange colors.
No,
you
so,
know. And in fact, yes, I've been hearing I've been hearing colors as well.
Yeah.
That beetle poison.
Photosynthesis thing.
So I am actually going to give you a success on this,
Okay.
but I'm not going to tell you why till later. But what you see is you can actually see that several of the thatched roofs are actually burning. But something that catches your eyes is you see that some of the townsfolk, as you guys are starting to get closer, like running like down the hill towards the place, you start to see in some of the clearings and stuff through some of the trees, you see some of the villagers, and it is a horrendous scene. Like at this point, the wind is not coming this way, but you can still kind of smell like the smoke in the air and just the burning of like wood and hay and like stuff like that.
Household goods.
Yeah, you don't really smell a whole lot of like death yet.
Yeah.
But
yeah, okay.
But yeah, so but one of the
That's
things
promising.
you see, there are several of the townsfolk are like laying bloody on the ground, and there are a few of these things that are also laying on the ground, and these things are about 8 foot tall, and they have a lot of them. You see them like walking in between there, and they kind of look like kind of grayish. Like some of them are kind of brownish and stuff, so it's kind of hard to tell like what they are from this kind of distance. But you can tell that they definitely like tower over the villagers. You can see several of the villagers are in a line. You actually see kind of off to the. You guys are kind of coming from the west, and you kind of see that there's a road that ventures off towards the south, and on that road there's actually almost like a jailer wagon. It's like a wagon, but it's got like bars and stuff on it and everything. And you catch the glimpse of Alora Silvermane's hair.
Those red locks.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
the reason that they got their name is because it actually like glimmers. So although her hair is red, like it does glimmer with almost like it's silvered.
Mm-hmm.
So although it's red, it
Silver.
has that little shine, and that's what
Good cover.
Good
and-
product.
and-
Good product.
but that's what catches your eye is like the glint from her hair and stuff,
Mhm.
and you see that she's actually inside.
Off the firelight, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Uh,
So it's-
and you can see that there are several of these large creatures that are like pulling her down. The wagon itself is being pulled by 2 large mules, but there's one of the creatures has it looks like kind of a metal almost it kind of looks like a mace, except instead of a ball on the end there's like 5 or 6 like whips, like a cat of 9 tails basically, and he's walking beside this mule like smacking it, making it walk, and it starts walking, and then there's several people who are inside this cage, and then there's also people who are chained like to the rear of the cage, and they're just walking, and there's one of the creatures appears to be like giving the orders, because like he says something and then they start doing stuff and he whips them again and they start going. So what would you guys like to do?
Stop that. Just
Okay.
Stop it.
So the cart stops. Turns out she wasn't in there.
Yeah.
No, I'm just, all right.
It was a dream.
Yeah.
It was all a dream.
Well, what I'm taking in the scene and looking at these tall, silvery or grayish guys. What are they?
Well, so as you're getting closer, give me a spout lore.
8.
Okay, so you can as you're getting closer, you can see like some of them have like the gray fur, some of them have the like brown fur, and they have like the dog-like hyena faces, and these are very clearly gnolls.
Oh,
And
way different than I was thinking.
what were you thinking? Like bugbears or something? Orcs?
No, I was
Dragons?
kind of picturing like grays.
Oh yeah. Well, so
Way better.
So you can see that most of them are heavily armed, like almost all of them have bows and stuff. And they don't seem like they're super high quality, but they seem like they'll get the job done.
Sure.
But you see,
They got them at Bows R Us.
as you get closer, no,
Sorry.
veto. Throw your character away. No.
Hey,
So-
I was gonna make a joke before about beating a rented mule,
I
but
have,
you
I
know,
have a -1
Yeah, give me one so I can
I have to
control your
roll
character.
1d6
Your
and-
character walks off a cliff. No, so the
we're now on a solo adventure.
Yeah.
So you can see these gnolls, and they look vicious. And as you walk up, you guys get like as you're running up, you're kind of trying to use the woods as much as possible, but it's kind of open here in this valley, and you see that there's one of the gnolls actually there's someone laying on the ground, and like it is actually eating this person, and it has just taken like a huge chunk out of their thigh, and this person screams out, and you realize this person's not dead, like, and all the other ones are like have this horrible like hyena laugh, like they just think it's hilarious, like what this thing's doing, and this is kind of like it's kind of like on the other side of where the wagon is, but it looks kind of like where the wagon is going, almost as if this person tried to run and they chased him down.
Got it.
So it looks like a male, and you recognize him as the innkeeper. So you've got the town kind of off to your left, and then you got the wagon, like the prisoner wagon, and you see one of the things you notice is that like several of the gnolls actually have nets, and you recognize them as slavers. So they're probably taking these people like to sell as slaves. What will you guys do?
Stop it. So you
How
ran
will you
off in
stop
front of me. So
I figured you caught up
I-
pretty
well,
well.
I-
I mean, because I stopped like when
Okay.
I saw that the kind of slowed down when I saw the bodies, and because I was looking there, to describe the scene. I imagine I'm kind of standing there, got
And-
my sword in hand, kind of just pointed off to the side as like the camera would pan around, and I'm looking at all of the that whole scene you set. So I imagine I'm kind of standing there about the time that Devlin would catch up.
I'm probably a little bit winded because I'm
Uh-huh.
pudgy.
And the other thing too is like as you get this close, you can now smell like the wet dog smell, and like
Mhm.
you can smell the burning. But the thing is, like, it doesn't smell like burnt bodies or anything like that, and it kind of seems almost like the burning of the things and stuff were kind of just to get people out or something. It
Yeah.
didn't. It hasn't really done a lot of destruction to the town, but you can still see like hundreds of bodies around this village at various times as you're moving up towards it. Were you guys going more towards the caravan or more towards the village?
I think the caravan.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So I'll clap you on the shoulder and turn you invisible.
You can't see me.
Hmm?
Nothing.
Give me your coin. No.
9. So I will lose that spell for the rest of the day. So you turn invisible and say, "Go get him."
Look back at you and look down at me and realize I'm invisible. Okay.
That or I've killed you near a ghost. Not sure which.
All right.
One or the other.
Save Thomas, the innkeeper.
So you
I'll
see
get
him.
the caravan.
You see him completely disappear. But as you guys are coming up to the caravan, right before you cast a spell on him to make him invisible. You do notice that the baker is actually in the. She's actually inside. Evelyn is actually inside with your fiancé
Mm-hmm.
or whatever else call it, Alora.
I don't know.
So you disappear
Mhm.
from view, and then what would you guys like to do?
Well, I will assume he's charging at the wagon now.
Right. I'm gonna head towards the wagon.
I want to use magic missile, my version of it, to try and sever the cat of nine tails, so that the person or thing that's whipping the mules will not be able to do so as effectively.
Okay.
So something from the ground, like a shingle or something, will just fly in and try to sever it.
So you can see that there's one of the knolls is like towering over the mule. Like when you guys get this close, you can see these things are about a little over 8 feet tall each. The one that has the cat of nine tails, that's whipping the mule and stuff, it's on like the far side. Like you got the two mules, and then it's on the far side of them, like hitting them, walking with them. As you take off running, I don't know which way you're running, but as you start running, you can see his footprints start like just pushing the grass down, like hardly noticeable to anybody, but you know that he's invisible, so you know that he's there to see that. So what are you going to use to try to like?
Well, based on that, I'm actually will change.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to. There's also another two that are walking. There's the line of slaves, or villagers, we'll call them for now.
Yeah.
But there's a line of them, and there's one on the opposite side, same as this one, and then there's one on this side. And that's because you guys failed earlier, by the way.
I am going to actually, I'm going to attack one of the mules and try to hobble it so that it can't
Okay.
continue to pull the wagon. So I will have, again, they'll just be
What
like,
are you going to attack it with?
magic
spell
missile
or-
of the
okay.
spell. But if no, basically I'll cause like there's like an object in the road, like a sharp object. I'll have it flip up so that the mule steps on it and then almost like krills its ankle, I guess, like
Okay.
stumbles. I'm trying to hobble the mule so that it can't pull.
Yeah, sounds good.
And that is a 12 plus 2 is 14. That's as good as it gets.
That's what you get. Okay.
Bam!
So you're able to shift this rock, and it's actually like pretty pointed, and you shift it up, and
It's like a D4.
the mule doesn't see it. So
Mule doesn't see it.
go ahead and roll your D4 for damage. Actually, roll 2D4 and take the higher of the two.
Well, the spell's 2D4.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So I got a 6 total.
Yeah. So roll an extra D4 and take the higher of the two.
So then that would be 7.
Okay, so you raise it up, and you manage to get it perfectly right as it's stepping, and it like lodges deep into its leg, into its hoof. Do they have hooves? They have hooves, don't they?
I assume
Yeah.
so.
Okay, so it lodges deep into its clove. I don't know.
Well, it'd be
But-
a cloven hoof. So
yeah. So it lodges deep inside of it, and it makes whatever noise a donkey makes, but so
Ow!
so it screams, and it actually it actually like tries to pull away, and it's on its outside foot, so it's the one walking on the right. So it's on its outside foot. So as it does this, it actually pulls the wagon to the side, because the harness holding the two of them actually like shifts and breaks, and it actually releases this one, and it starts. It actually starts trying to get away, and it's expecting to be pulling a cart, but it's not, and it starts like just kind of hobbling like away, and it actually starts walking off. The harness drops down on that side, and the other donkey, it doesn't know what to think. Like it kind of looks at it, and it
So the other donkey says, jackass.
so it actually stops in its
Yeah.
tracks for now and looks at the other one, and it looks like it's trying to discern realities. It looks like it's trying to figure out what's going on, like, but it doesn't understand the shift in the weight or anything like that. And then the what would you guys like to do? What were you doing?
Well, I'm gonna do a high five to nobody.
Well, Seth it was beelining for the caravan, and the donkey, one of the two donkeys, is now stopped. So the caravan has stopped, right?
Yes.
Okay, and there is as so there's the guy with the cat of nine tails. He's driving the caravan, or is he?
He's walking
standing
beside it, he was making the donkeys
Okay,
walk.
but there's nobody like on the bench of the wagon, right? Like in the driver's seat.
No.
He's doing it.
No.
Well,
There is no bench. It's just
Got
a cage.
It's just the cage.
And then it's a harness going out to the
Understood.
the one donkey now.
I'm gonna bury 4 feet of steel in his back is my intention.
Okay. So, even with all this commotion, like obviously you know something happened, like this didn't randomly happen, but you didn't necessarily see it. Like nobody really noticed where it was coming from or anything. But the Knowles have they've reacted to the fact that one of the donkeys just ran off, like neighed and ran off or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What does a donkey do?
Bray.
Bray. It brays and runs off. So it notices that, but it hasn't noticed like the fact you're coming up on it or the fact that he's even over there. Like you haven't seen any of them like looking over there saying stuff.
Yeah. So basically, I'm gonna run up and just like with a running charge, just like I say, bury the sword in the guy's back, or
Okay.
in the Knowles' back, and shake it off when I'm done.
All right, give me a hack and slash. Haters gonna hate. Oh, wait a
So,
minute.
I would say
Never mind. You don't have to do a hack and slash. So you just roll damage.
that'll be 8, pierce 2.
All right. So,
You turn visible.
Yes. The John Cena music stops playing in the background.
Yeah. I think that's the dumbest thing in the world, but it's like any other pop culture thing.
But you know what?
just
It's
can't get
so
away from it.
catchy.
Yeah.
so does he become visible or not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he attacks.
Okay.
Unless you will say because I rolled perfect on the other thing, not that thing. So yeah.
Well, I mean, it wasn't going to matter.
Yeah.
Because how much damage did you do?
8. I was going to hop up on the wagon and away with it, but now there's a dead horse, so it
Yeah.
altered my plan.
Kind of screwed that
That's
up.
okay.
Donkey.
I thought keep them here.
Right?
better
No,
than-
totally good.
So,
I'd also thought about hacking open the gate on the back, but then I thought maybe they just pepper the people as they were running away with the arrows, and that's bad.
all right. So this is my timer for something. Which you can see it's 3 rounds or 3 moments of time. Okay, so as your sword goes through its back, its armor, it's just wearing like bits of hide and stuff, the equivalent of leather, but it's wearing like bits of hide and things like that. So it kind of deflects it to where you don't actually like run this thing through and just outright kill it, but it turns towards you. Like you can feel the power of this thing. Like after you stab it, it stiffens up and it turns and it almost wrenches your sword out of your hand as it turns. But you're able to get your sword out as it turns to face you. Then what were you doing?
You got that right.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
So I'm going to compel the spirit of the baker who's being eaten.
Innkeeper.
The
Innkeeper. Is he dead yet? Or is he not dead yet?
I don't know. Did you do a discern realities to determine if he's dead?
I have.
He's not dead. He just
Okay,
he
good.
was screaming out because it was like on his thigh and stuff. Like it didn't bite him like in
Okay.
a vital area because they like to watch him
Squirm.
suffer
Okay.
while they're eating. Him.
Then I'll leave him be because I can't do anything with him until he's dead. So I will use magic missile to help him. So I will. I'm going to cause the donkey that's next to him to feel like there's something behind it, so that it will kick, and have the donkey kick the demon thingy.
Okay. So I mean, you've kind of grown up in Bright Hollow and stuff, and you kind of know, like, if you rub a donkey on the back of its leg,
Right.
then it will like kick out. Like, and normally they do that to like catch it and then hoof them or whatever, like to put the hooves on them. I don't know if donkeys have hooves, but
That will be a 12.
flip it. We'll pretend like we do. Okay. So give me the damage.
4 points of damage.
The other thing is you have a choice to make. I'm going to give you the choice, kind of like the hack and slash, where you can either roll an extra d6 of damage, or you can. But if you do, then it will get to attack you. But if not, then you can just do your damage.
I'll just do my damage.
Okay.
High five.
So how much was it?
4.
All right. So, sure enough, the donkey kicks out like as the gnolls turned its back on it, like turning towards Sherazeth. It kicks out and kind of hits him like square in its knee, and it buckles beneath him, and he is like working to get his feet underneath of him, and then he is going to whip you, or he's going to raise his, he's going to raise the whip, and then the other two, they grab their bows and they start to knock them, like pointing towards you.
Hank, get in front of me.
So as this this massive gnoll rears back on the whip to whip Seth, I'm going to actually I'm going to dive in towards his raised hand, which also just happens to be on the side that his knee had been buckled on. So I'm going to try diving inside of his attack and coming up behind him.
Okay. Give me a hack and slash.
Yeah, and I'm going to level the blade at his at his neck. That'll be a 10.
The donkey kicks you. No.
I love donkey kicks.
As you go
They're
by.
the best.
Yeah.
And I'm going to choose to do extra damage on this attack.
Okay. So
An extra d6.
an extra d6. So roll that first.
That was fantastic for a total of 7 points. Or 8 points, I'm sorry.
Okay. And then roll
8 pierce 2.
roll
I'm
a
assuming Pierce just ignores armor.
Ignores
Or-
2 points of armor, yeah.
Roll
1 point of armor per rank.
roll a d8. It has what? Pierce 2?
Yep.
Okay.
For 7, that's going to hurt.
So he actually like goes to whip, and you step underneath, and you just ram your sword like straight through him,
Mm-hmm.
and you almost lift him off the ground, like if it wasn't for the fact he was built so solidly. So you ram him, and as you're pulling your sword out, just in a last minute ditch, he brings it back across and just whips you across the face, and you just feel like 3 of the tentacles of the tendrils of the cat of nine tails smack you across the face.
Got a cool scar now, though.
And it is reduced by armor too.
Right.
Chick stick scars.
Okay. Now what would you guys like to do?
Well, I got 2 gnolls on me.
Yeah, you have 2 that have drawn bows, and they look like they're focused on you.
All right, so I want to get Hank to run straight towards them, and at the last moment, he'll become just visible enough that one of them will track him and then shoot the other one. For 2d4 points of damage.
Okay. So you're going to shoot it with your
I'm
magic
going to use
missile.
magic missile, but I'm causing him to shoot his friend instead.
Sounds
I'm trying
good.
to find as many ways as possible to use the spell as it's not intended.
Great. That makes it easy for me.
9.
All right, so 9. So choose which
I will
one.
put myself in danger.
Okay. So,
Let me roll my damage.
so Hank takes off running, and they see him, and the one on the far side actually fires at Hank, and unfortunately,
Hank is not ethereal.
he is ethereal.
Yeah, he's
and
not.
so the arrow just shoots through him, and goes like straight over your shoulder, and when he sees that it's fake, like he immediately turns his focus towards you, and
Plus the die.
Lines up another shot.
and then
Shoots me in
yeah,
the face.
the other one will turn, and he will actually fire at you
Okay. So,
So-
the first one takes.
because they'd already drew back their bows. So the first one took how much damage?
4.
4.
You see a die? I can find it later. I was just hoping it was like clearly visible somewhere. All right, never mind. Carry on. Oh, I see it. Okay, never mind. I got it. We're good.
Your floor is where all dice go to
Yeah,
die.
it's-
Like with that rug, it's like could be
It's
anywhere.
like camouflage, really. It blends in every shape and color.
Well,
So you-
seeing that Hank is now in not Hank, I'm sorry. Seeing
Hank's
that,
in trouble too.
seeing
but-
that Devlin's in danger because this one knoll is lining a shot up onto him, and he's too far for me to get to him. Right? I see because I was ranting. I assume he's just a little bit like I can't get to him. I don't have that time. So
Well, hold on a second, because you have to roll damage.
Oh.
So roll a d8.
4.
All right. So the one fired at Hank, but then the other one fired at you. So it hits you in the shoulder, and it opens up like, and you just a flash of blood, and it starts like coming out pretty good on your shoulder.
Oh.
Sorry. Then go ahead.
Okay, and in seeing that Hank is, or I'm sorry, damn it, seeing that Devlin is wounded, and this knoll is gonna, I assume he's pulling out another arrow and is going to maybe strike a
Yeah, they
a worse
both
blow at
started
him.
notching again.
Where are they actually? Like
So-
in relationship to me,
So here's
'Cause
the
I'm by the wagon.
jail wagon. You're on the other side where this other knoll was.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're back here. There's a line of prisoners here. And like they've kind of like panicked, but they're all chained together. So they like are like laying on the ground, like crying and whimpering. And
Got it.
but there's there's a knoll on either side of the line of the prisoners. So like you could get
Okay.
there.
Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come around
To
the
the one on
blind
this side.
I'm going to come around to the blind side of the wagon, and I'm going to charge towards the center of them, and I'm going to execute like a sweeping spin and yell "Get down" to the people as I do, and I'm going to attempt to cleave through one, hoping to catch their bow, and continue my attack around and catch the other one's bow.
Okay.
And I'm going to use that inspiration. That additional d6 on my attack.
I think that's going to be a defy danger.
Okay.
Probably using your dex, I guess.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable.
Like whatever you use for your weapon.
It's going to be 13.
Okay. So you were able to completely cleave one of the bows in half.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so as you turn, you hit it, and they're all pretty much ducked down anyways, but like they cover their heads and stuff as if that would help. And then as you turn and you just come through the second bow, and he's actually able to, he sees you coming and kind of figures out what you're doing, and he's able to like step back just out of range to where it doesn't take his bow with it.
Okay.
I'll be like, yeah, oh.
Other hand, pal. Other hand.
Damn it, Hank. Damn it, And what will you guys like to do? So by now, obviously, Alora has recognized that it's you.
Mm-hmm.
She hasn't really said anything. And as you ran by there, you can see that she looks pretty disheveled, like she's kind of like sitting on her butt with like her knees up to her chest.
Sure.
And she's kind of like leaning up against the bars and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She's coherent and she looks like she's awake, but she's not trying to make any noise because she doesn't want to distract you or anything like that. So, but she doesn't look like she's doing very well.
How are the
Like she looks like she's
prisoners
been beaten.
attached to the wagon? Another chain together, but is that chain?
The chain is in on the back of
but
it.
is
There's
it
like a
locked, or is it just like a pitting through a hole type of thing?
it's it's like a half C chain, and then there's just a pitting going through the chain to hold it on there, and then there's a pitting going through the bottom of the pitting to hold it to lock it.
Okay.
Or to secure it, not to lock it, but
All right.
Well, I guess I'll continue my my fight against the two gnolls.
all right. So, are you going to?
I'm going to continue against the one that still has the bow. I'm going to continue. I'm going to come out of my spin move. Is spun around, and I'm going to attempt to fight him.
Okay, so he was the one who was. Actually, I need to put that down. He was the one who was hit by the spirit's arrow.
Okay.
So he's also the one who doesn't have a bow. So
I want to hit the armed one, the one with the bow.
oh, the one with the bow.
Right,
Okay,
right,
so
'cause he still has a bow
He
and
has
can-
not been hit yet.
Put arrows into me.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's the one I'm concerned with, and more importantly, he can put arrows into Devlin.
Okay.
So I'm going to again. I'm going to go after him.
All right. So you step between the line of prisoners to the same side as Devlin, and then you give me a hack and slash.
All right. That'll be an 11.
You know what sucks about being awesome at this game? You guys don't get experience.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay. So that is successful. So do you want to do more damage, or do you want to?
In this case, I'm going to opt for the more damage.
Okay.
Really powerful damage there at 6 points.
Okay. So the
piercing.
so what I will
Two
do
piercing,
is
rather.
One of the prisoners actually stands up to run as you step in between them, because you like step over fine, like you don't have any issues, but he steps up almost right into your blade, and as he does, you have to take a bit off your swing. So roll me a d6 and subtract that from your damage.
Okay. So 4 points of damage.
All right. Actually, you don't have to.
Yeah. So you
No,
could just
I'm
like-
okay.
You
not-
could just cleave the
That's okay.
villager.
I'm totally fine not
Okay.
killing my friends. I mean, you know.
I kind of made it. I made the choice for you, but okay. So how much damage did you do? 4?
4.
Okay. Okay. So you kind of have to pull back at the last second, and then you're able to get your blade around the villager, and then you make contact with the gnoll, and you find a gap and you just open up the fur on the front of his chest, and like blood is like pouring out, and then he just comes at you and tries to grab you. What would you guys like to do?
So is the knoll that he started on, the big one, dead?
I hope so.
Oh yeah, when he stabbed at the it ended up like it basically as a last ditch effort like
but he's dead.
Yeah.
Okay. I just,
He ran
wasn't
it
like
through.
playing dead. He's going to come through. So
No.
I'm going to summon his spirit to just sort of stand up and like roar in the face of the other one, just to like frighten it, to do my 2d4 damage. So it's just going to go.
pretty
"Ah!"
cool.
Scary.
That's scary.
That is very scary.
okay.
8, 9, 10. It's like psychic damage, basically.
Okay. So the and you got a 10, you said?
Yep.
Okay. So just roll damage for me.
5.
All right. So the in his mind, no one else sees it. You don't see it, and you're standing right beside him. But
His fur just turns white.
yeah, he gets a bunch of gray hairs. But you just see this terrified look on this thing's face, and he turns and he almost starts to run. Like he doesn't seem like he knows what to do, but you see a look of like sheer terror and confusion on his face, and he starts like clawing at his face, almost like his looks like he feels like his head is about to explode, but you don't see anything. You just see him start clawing at his face, and you hear where the caravan is and the prisoners. You can hear the chains clinking and stuff, but you see that out of one of the houses, a gnoll walks out, and this gnoll doesn't look like the other ones. He
Oh, no, you didn't.
he gets it. He understands puns.
I got you.
So he walks out, and his armor is, his hide is like actually like really well constructed and stuff. But there's actually on the cover of it, you see the two red eyes of the nightmare that you guys had the night before, and it's got the two like demon eyes on the front of his leather, and he has this huge mace that he walks out with, and he steps out and he looks over and he says something in Noel. The two of you understand him. Why do you guys understand him?
Because he's speaking into our minds.
Okay.
Dun, dun,
Because he's actually telepathically speaking to you?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So, you hear him, and he says, let me get the name. You are the two that Yanagwa has sent us for. Today you two shall die. And he holds his hand out, and black tendrils like start coming through his arm, and it's like a black smoke like starts covering him. What would you guys like to do? He looks like he's casting some sort of spell.
Poop my pants. I'm going to counter spell. I can't. Oh, I thought counter spell was a.
It's an actual spell.
It's an actual spell, I think.
Yeah. You go then. I'll look.
Well, seeing that, I've still got the one of the gnolls ran, right? Is that right? You said he started to run. Did he continue to run?
Yeah, the one that he like cast that spell on, like
Okay.
he looked like he was in sheer terror, and he started clawing at his face, and then
Got it.
like he just fell down to the ground. But you don't see any like the only damage you see on him is like
What
his
he's
fur is
doing.
like disheveled from himself, but
That's
you don't
fine.
see anything.
He is not an opponent at this time. He's not.
Yeah.
He's not a combatant. Well, I've still got the other one, who is still armed with a bow, I guess. And was going to
which one
grab
did you
me.
do that to? The one with the bow or without the bow?
Probably the one without, the one that was already injured.
Okay, yeah. So, well, they were both injured.
But the one was that he had hit the first time and I'd already hit. He
Okay.
was more damaged. Because I think
Alright.
the one still with the bow had not been hurt very much.
Yeah. So the only one that's left is the one with the bow or without the bow? With the bow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
He's
So
got the bow. He's
so there's
still.
that one,
I mean,
and then the other gnoll.
Yeah.
And his fur is like just like onyx black. Like it just his whole fur is like, and he actually it almost looks like it's wet, like it's almost like a shine to it. Almost like his last name's Silvermane or something. No,
Weird. It's a very common thing.
Shot spotter.
Well, I mean, the one with this knoll in front of me with the bow is still clearly he's the most dangerous to the people right around him.
Yeah.
So I'm going to kind of bring my sword up and feint like I'm going high. So hoping that he'll kind of lean back a little bit, but actually feint and go low and kind of try to go for his legs.
Okay.
And that will be an 11.
All right. Give me. No, do you want to do extra damage or you really don't need it? I'll be honest with you.
Sure, I'll
He doesn't
try.
look like
I'm
he's
trying to
doing
stay
too
out,
well.
stay out of the way of his strike here, so I'll avoid his attack.
All right.
For 9 points of damage to him,
So
and that's piercing. So
yep. So
piercing
as you just bring your sword across his legs, like you like dang near cut his legs off. Like you just see, like you actually hit him across his hips, and you feel like your sword go across his hips, his hip bones, and you hear like the scrape and like the blood just opens up, and he like tries to grab you as he's like dying, and he just falls to the ground.
He
And
kind of falls forward and kind of push him back with the foot, and yeah.
Okay.
I'll do that.
And then the smoky tendril like starts to form, and it starts to go out towards the three unconscious gnolls. It starts to go towards them.
All right. Don't have anything that can probably stop that necessarily. So
maybe break his concentration.
I will once again use magic missile, but I'm not going to get fancy this time. I'm just going to shoot him with bolts of energy, or maybe my ghostly people show up and shoot their arrows at him, because that's cooler. So
Yeah.
two ghost arrows are going to fly at his face, and that will be a 12 on the die
Nice.
plus 2 is 14.
Had a miss.
Oh, hey.
Okay. So the roll the 3d4, but take the two highest ones, like a mini critical.
4 plus 1 is 5.
All right.
Should have rolled this one.
The best you can roll on that is when you get the Triforce that shows.
Yeah. Well, it's weird because but there's actually a 4, but it's hard to see that there's 4 because it kind of looks like there's 3, because there's just one in the middle also.
Yeah.
So it looks like it's 3, but that's actually 4.
Mhm.
So how much damage was it?
5.
5. Yeah, that sounds right.
So these are my D4 times 3 D12s.
I'm struggling with math right now. Okay, I got it. Okay, so like the arrow kind of hits through and kind of goes through his side, but like it doesn't even slow him down. He continues to cast, and he starts to start walking towards you.
Okay. As he's going to do that, I'm going to bring my sword down. I'm going to sever the chain from the wagon, and then try and cut the lock off the wagon, because I assume there's a lock like on the gate, right?
Like to hold the prisoners in?
Yeah.
Or the thing that's holding the
No. To hold the prisoners.
line?
To hold the prisoners.
Yep.
To do that, and I'm gonna continue doing that, hacking at it until it's free. I'm gonna tell him to run.
Okay. Give me a defy danger roll using your weapon ability.
12.
All right. So you hack off the lock, and then the tendrils go, like the smoke like goes out and like goes to the two gnolls that are laying there on the ground, and the smoke starts like covering them, and you see it like going in their mouth, almost as if they're like breathing it in, but they're unconscious, and it's like going inside of them, and you see them like start to
fighting
move.
the demon asbestos.
Yeah.
Sorry, step on your moment there.
So the you see them start to move. What would you like to do?
To get the locks off?
Well, the lock, the lock. Like when you hit it,
Okay.
it just like explodes
Okay.
and it's off. Like, so she stands up. Like, Alora stands up, and she like, as she stands up, you see like, she's got marks across her face where like it's clear that they've
been
lashed her
whipped.
with like
Yeah.
she's hit her. They've hit her with this thing. So she like pushes the door. And she's like, "Come on, let's go. We got to get out of here." And
How far from here, from where I am, as I see that happening, is from me to the Onyx guy, the Onyx Knoll,
he is probably
His name is asbestos.
considered
asbestos.
far
Sorry.
from you.
As far. See, I look over from Alora, and I have, that look in my eye of, kind of says, good luck, and I kind of look to the potentially reanimating corpses and the smoke tendrils that run back towards asbestos, and I reach down deep within myself, and I kind of I spin around and almost like in hammer throw technique, and I'm going to throw my sword. I'm going to attempt to spear the guy with it.
At the
Yeah.
Onyx. No.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Sounds good. Give me a volley.
That's a 7.
Okay.
I'm going to choose to reduce ammo.
All right. So your sword.
Because I don't have a sword to throw.
Yeah.
So you.
Well, actually, I wouldn't let me have that choice if I was you.
The kids are now providing battle sound effects for us.
So yeah, I'm going to throw my sword at him. I got a 7.
So your sword actually stabs into him,
Mm-hmm.
and he it hits him. Oh, did you roll damage?
No, I didn't. I was waiting. You
Yeah,
were
go-
describing what
Yeah,
was
sorry. Go
happening.
ahead and roll damage first.
10.
He reduces that by 9, so that makes it no.
1.
Cool. At what point do we bow to our new overlord?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so that's Pierce 2.
as it hits him, oh wait. So as it hits him, and just the sword is an ancient relic, and obviously it's not designed to be thrown or anything like that. But what you did it amazingly.
Yeah.
It goes into him, but you actually see him grab your sword, and he pulls it out.
Mm-hmm.
And when he gets it out, he takes it into his hand. He touches the flat of the blade, and you see some of the runes on your blade start to light up.
Cool.
And it starts like these black tendrils of smoke. They start forming on your blade.
Awesome.
And he looks like he's got a new weapon now.
Just powered up.
So-
his
I'm going to come
sword.
beat you with your own weapon. That's great.
Yeah. And then what would you guys like to do?
I'm going to stride to meet him because I got nothing else.
I will continue to have my ghostly friends fire at him, trying to draw his attention to me before he cuts you down.
Okay. So you start making your way over towards him, and the spirits around you start loosing arrows.
7, 9.
So
I'll take the -1 because this is like the only thing I'm doing right now. I don't want to waste it.
Oh, yeah.
okay.
I want it.
4 points of damage.
All right. So the arrows are like hitting him, and like they're ethereal arrows, so they're not like quite as effective as like a real arrow, but they're the sheer number of them that are like impacting him, like are knocking him back, and he as soon as the arrow hits him, the black smoke like just explodes, and the arrow actually doesn't have any effect on him. And like it seems like the spell, but the two gnolls, like they stop moving, and like the tendrils like are severed, and like they no longer go like back to him now. So the tendrils in the sword, they're still there though,
Okay, good.
Bad doggy.
and the runes are still glowing.
Good.
And then he turns and he starts to run back towards the village, and he's shouting commands. And as he turns to run, he says to you, he's like, Yanagwa will not let you win this day. He's like, you will see. And he turns and he does some weird Nolish cackling laugh thing. And then he turns to take off running.
I run after
And
him.
you're still obviously charging towards him. So you're running towards him, and you're coming up near him, and he like goes around the house that he had come out of. And what would you like to do?
I know this village. What should be around and behind that house?
Basically, it kind of opens up into the market and everything. It's like the town, the village center, and there's like a well in the center of the village center, and then like, so it's kind of open on the other side of the house. Like there's not really a
Okay.
like. I mean, right now he
But-
has that house is covered
But
from
it's a
you,
bit of a
but
blind spot, right?
well, the house is making it
Right,
a blind
right.
spot. But
So-
once you get around there, you'll be able to see. But as you're like
I'm gonna
coming
swing,
towards the
I'm
village,
going to
you can.
swing wide around that house rather than cut the corner because I'm kind of expecting him to be there waiting. What I would do is, if I had somebody chasing me, I would, I'd turn and set to receive them as they came around the side of the house to, surprise the person. So I'm going to swing wide around, around it to potentially avoid a strike.
Okay. So
Even if it costs me a couple, it costs me time on him, I'm going to, stay maybe 10 feet around.
Yeah.
Spin wide around.
So as you come around, you see he has like started to brace his position, and he's standing there, and he's holding the sword, and he has like completely disappeared, and the only thing there now is just like this inky blackness that's just like surrounding him and like covering your sword. Your sword looks as if it's like floating.
Mhm.
It doesn't look like anything's holding it. And then you can see like almost like two images of him like in this inky blackness state. And both of them are holding your sword. Both of them are doing the exact same thing. And like you can't really discern. It's hard to tell which one's actually him. But did you say you were going to attack him, or
No,
like you were swinging wide?
I was going to swing right, and upon seeing
Okay.
this, I want to reach out with my mind and my connection to the weapon, and I want to try and consult the spirits that inhabit this ancient relic, and I want to try to get them to call out to me to maybe let me know which one is the real, which one is the real image.
With
Okay.
a real sword. Please
That
stand
sounds
up.
good.
Right, that's what I'm gonna try and do.
So what do you add to this normally?
charisma.
What's your charisma?
17.
I'll let you know in a second. It's gonna be a 5. I got a +1, so
Okay.
that's a 5. So I'll just
So
do this.
let's-
There we go.
let's see here.
XP cumulative?
Yeah.
Or so he doesn't reset at each level?
Well, each when you level up, you subtract your current level +7.
All right. So
that's how many XP you need to level. So
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
you could either add up or
Gotcha.
subtract and go back down to
So
0.
I will let you be successful,
Mhm.
but the reason it looks like he's done this is because he's being healed by his god.
Oh, that's bad. Okay.
All right. So as you see the two images with the blacky smoke and stuff, your sword, like you reach out to it and you actually see one of the swords is glowing. What color? It almost has like an aura of that
stick
color.
with that. We'll stick with that azure blue.
Okay, so you can see that the image on the left is actually holding the sword, and it's the only one with the azure glow that your sword sometimes does.
Okay.
Like it's almost, and you can hear like it is saying to you, it starts like opening up and talking to you, and in your mind, and you can, it is saying to you, what is it saying to you? First, it's saying roll a d8 because that's how much health he's getting back.
3.
Okay. Okay, so the
Excuse me.
So it's an ancestral weapon. So I'd kind of thought that perhaps maybe like the spirits or of the previous wielders had come somewhat imprinted upon the blade.
Yeah,
and so that maybe you could offer, I don't know,
what's it?
some wisdom or something
Well,
like that. From
yeah, I think that's what it is. So it obviously it's like an elven like heirloom and stuff. So you can hear like the voice of it almost sounds like several elves talking at once, but they're all saying the exact same thing in unison. And they say to you that they say this knoll is an emissary of the demon, and they say like the name of this demon, and like
my head hurts.
Yeah, it's like you can't really understand what they're saying because it's not Elven, it's not English like common. It's like almost like a different language completely, like Abyssal maybe. But he tells you, like he's saying to you that you need to end him quickly, that he is gaining power, and that shortly if you do not stop him, your sword will be consumed by this guy.
Okay.
Take him out.
And then
Take him out.
And then what were you doing around the?
I was going to finish freeing the prisoners, making sure they're unchained, and basically tell any of them that are able to grab weapons. There's the bow right there from the knoll that was dropped. Pick up.
All right.
And just
Give
try to rouse.
me a discern realities. Using your intelligence or wisdom, maybe whatever your.
It would be a 10 with intelligence or charisma. It would be 7 with wisdom.
Well, which one are you using?
I would say intelligence.
Okay.
I get
So,
to choose.
You're basically like what you do is you ask Alora if she knows where the key is, and she says that the one with the whip is the one that had the key. So you go over to his body and you find the chain that has the key to the manacles. Is it manacles?
Sure.
Handcuff kind of thing.
Manacles. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll toss her the keys and say, rouse as many able-bodied men and women as you can to help us fight, and then I'll run after Seth.
And the other thing is, you guys can hear in the village, like there's still like some fighting going on and stuff, but that seems to have died down a bit. Like most of the gnolls that are in the village are like either torturing people or like eating the stuff or eating the people or whatever. So or searching through stuff, like looks like they're like also pillaging, like to get stuff. So what would you like to do?
Well, I'm gonna charge him. Basically, I'm gonna come up and I'm going to run at this gnoll holding the sword, and I'm gonna attempt to basically spear him into the wall behind him. Basically, throw my small elven frame into him, and hopefully maybe I can knock the wind out of him or break his connection to the spell that he's channeling or something
Okay.
like that. So that's what
Well, give me a
I'm
hack and
going to
slash
try and
then.
do. That'll be a 6.
Okay, that is a failure. So you charge towards him
Mm-hmm.
and roll me a 2d10.
That will be a 1 and a 6.
All right, so you take the 6, so you take 8 damage,
Okay.
and the it's with your sword, so doesn't it have piercing in your sword?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I didn't actually subtract my armor at all.
and does it what else does it have? Any like bonuses
It's just
to
versatile.
damage or
It's
anything?
sharp. It's sharp and has piercing.
What's sharp do?
That's what gives me the +2 piercing.
Okay.
The versatile. What versatile does is I get to choose an additional range, so it's hand and close. So it's
Okay. So
which is why I would throw it.
Yeah.
Basically that I could throw it. I chose range for that.
okay. So the as you're running towards him and you kind of like duck down to try to like spear him and drive him back into the wall of the house, he actually gets your sword up and he like drives it through and actually like knocks you off balance and like it pierces through your shoulder.
Oh yeah, that hurt.
And as it does, the sword just explodes as soon as it goes through you, and it then appears inside your hand.
Wow, that's new. It's never done that before.
And what would you guys like to do?
I'm going to run up and put a hand on his shoulder and try to pull him up. And as I do that, a bunch of ghostly images will just like flood into you and heal you from the inside.
Oh, cool.
12.
All right, so that's just a max. So that's just 8.
Okay, so 8 points of health back.
That's me.
Yeah.
I consider a 12 a critical. If it's a
That's-
natural 12.
I use a similar.
Then I will
And
look
mine.
over at Asbestos and say, we're here to wipe you out.
Way better than the terrible asbestos joke I was going to make. That was going to be terrible. So, good job.
Okay.
And totally.
It still wasn't great, but I don't know. Like we're going to quarantine you, and then over several months, make you less effective to hurt. I don't know.
Yeah, that's not gonna.
He says, "Oh no,
We're really in a hole here.
Oh no, you didn't."
Yeah. But I don't want to. I don't want to demonize you or anything. Get it? Get it? Demonize you?
Classic.
All right.
So,
I may just have to stab
what-
myself.
what
Kill
you
this dog.
what you do notice is that when your sword appears in your hand and stuff, that he then, like the inky blackness that's like shrouding him, almost like an armor, is still there, but it's like thinner now, and you can actually physically see him.
I'm gonna take this opportunity to smack him.
All right, go ahead.
I'm gonna try anyway. Hopefully, I don't hit Reggie or Archibald. God damn it, they're both dead.
We're both seeing dead people now.
That will be a 12.
Okay, that
And I'm going to choose in this case to deal extra damage.
Okay.
So I will open myself up to his attack for that extra bit of damage. 5 points of damage, Pierce 2.
Okay, and then roll me 2d10 and take
8.
the worst one for you, which is the 8 plus 2. So that's 10
Oh.
damage. So
Yep.
he actually, as you start to drive your sword through him, it kind of takes you a minute. You hesitate just for that second because you don't even realize, like, this has never happened, like you said. So
Right.
you've never
he
had
was
this
actually going to
sword-
reach out to punch him, and he had the sword in his hand, and he kind of didn't realize it was there and actually kind of like hit him with the pommel part of it, like maybe the cross guard.
Yeah. And then as that happened, as you start to do that, you feel like the sheer power of this guy as he drives a dagger through your stomach. And it like lifts you off the ground
it
as you
hurts.
hit him with it. And you hit him like just across the neck and everything. And he like yelps and screams, and then he actually releases the dagger like inside your stomach, and he like starts to clutch at his neck, and then he like falls to the ground, and he like falls to his knees, and even at his knees he's still at your height, and
He's still taller than me.
he's like still like slightly shorter than you are, and he says to you, he's like, Yanagwa let me down, but not my back. And then just hits the ground dead. Looking down at the ground, looking down at the dagger that's in your stomach. This dagger is like, it's not like the cat o' nine tails and like the nets and stuff that they had and everything. This is like some sort of like ceremonial dagger. Like this is like
dagger?
an intricate, like obsidian looking dagger, like, and it also has like runes and stuff on it and stuff, that probably are not aligned towards Paylor. We'll put it that way.
I'll drop to my knees and pull the dagger out, and then like there'll be blood just like squirting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
No
not
kidding.
good.
Put it back. Put it back.
Yeah. And then I will cast my healing spell upon you.
Oh.
You know, I'm due for a failure.
Yeah, I know.
I've been
I know.
rolling
I know.
great
I know.
for a long time.
Now would be appropriate.
9/11.
11.
Yeah,
That just
11,
could be a
11.
failure.
So D8.
Yep.
7.
That is not a failure. That
Okay,
will take me
so
back to a.
You fought valiantly this day. Hank is proud of you.
So you did manage to murder
Thanks,
this
Hank.
guy, but this timer is actually for like the rest of the gnolls in the village to start drawing
for them to
attention
start
your
to
way.
come in.
So, yeah, you guys don't have long basically. So you manage to heal him, and then you notice there's like fighting going on around you, or there's no fighting going on around you. Like that seems to be over. Some of the villagers you were able to release, like you notice, like maybe some of your friends and family are like have been murder-vated by these gnolls.
That's horrible.
There are a lot of there are a few people, mainly the people that are dead are people who are like who tried to fight and they just killed them, but a lot of them like they had like looked like they were taking them as slaves and stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people in the village aren't here, so it looks like as you're looking at the town and stuff, like, or the village, sorry, you can see that this attack has probably been going on for a very long time. So
they've carted people off.
yeah,
already.
you imagine that this is not the only group to have left and everything. So, what would you guys like to do?
We got to get the people here out.
Yeah, we can gather
We can't
survivors,
stay.
regroup, and then we can look for going after the others.
Okay. So as you guys come around the corner, you can see Alora has managed to unlock most of the chains of the. There's like 10 villagers there. There was 4 that were inside the cage. You don't really understand why, but there was 4 that was in the cage, and the. Like she's managed to unlock their manacles. Is it manacles or monocles?
Manacles.
Manacles. So she's undone.
Monocle is the eye thing.
Oh yeah, that's the eye thing. I was like, couldn't get it. But so she's managed to undo them. So you managed to get a few of them together, and like they're saying to you, like, we have to get out of here, like quickly, like
Let's go.
And then that's where we're done.
Okay. Dun, dun, dun. So for anyone watching now or in the future, thank you for joining us for Rocky's first try of Dungeon World. So I thought we'd do just a couple minutes here at the end of a debrief. So Rocky, this is the first time you've ever run Dungeon World. What'd you think?
I enjoyed it. It was kind of hard to get used to the fact that I only do a move when you guys fail or like get certain levels and stuff. When you cast magic, it doesn't really have as many like moves for me, really. Like unless you draw attention to yourself.
Right.
So, but I mean, I think it worked out pretty well. Like I enjoyed it. Like I think it's a really good system. I do like the narrative aspect of it, of like describing what happens and stuff, and like that, rather than like where D&D, where you more say like I attack, I defend, or things like that.
Sure,
where
but you don't have to do that in D&D. It's not
Yeah.
required. You can do a flourish, blah blah blah. Okay, roll your
Yeah.
attack, type of thing.
the system, I don't know. It kind of seems like I like the I don't know what it's called, but like the degrees of success or the degrees of failure. So, like when you get that 7 to 9 with a hack and slash, then you kind of fail, but you also succeed. So because you're going to get attacked, or there's going to be a move or whatever. And I don't know how I did. I tried to do different moves, and I mean, I was thinking of what they were, and it probably, I mean, I know you looked at me confused some of the time when I was doing stuff, and but I really enjoyed it. I think it's a good system, and I like the narrative aspect of it, and I like how the dice are there, but they're kind of like on the back burner. Like you pretty much can say what you want to do. Like you're not really limited. And then even with if you fail, I can still give you like a consequence, and you can still succeed. But
Yeah, six minus does not denote failure. Just it is the GM says what happens.
yeah,
Like for one of the things they say in the book, like say they were fighting. An example they give is if you're fighting some type of a monster, and the player rolls like snake eyes. You could say, okay, sure. So your attack hits into this like Umber Hulk kind of like creature, and it kills it. But unfortunately, like as you kill it, you actually like burst one of the boils on its back, and like this acid sprays out and lands on Ragnar's shield and actually eats his shield away.
yeah.
So some different things like that. I mean, so you could. That is a neat aspect of it. That just because you fail, you get 6 minus doesn't mean you've actually failed. It's just the GM says what happens, and you did some of that too, which was really good.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to do, like, one of the things I did that was kind of off screen was the number of gnolls. Like, there was the one failure where you guys were still back in the thing, and I didn't really have anything for it.
Mhm.
So I'm like, well, I'll just add more gnolls to that encounter, or if you guys, I had kind of something else in mind if you guys went towards the village, but one of the things I was doing was playing to see what you guys did, so I didn't know if you would go there or what you would do. So, but yeah, I think it's an interesting system. I definitely like it. I think it was really easy to prepare. We hadn't made characters yet, so I had texted you guys about like what you wanted to play, and I think just me knowing that, it kind of told me what you guys were looking for. So that was why, like when you said you were playing the fighter, and I went through and was looking at, okay, well, what does the fighter do? One of the things is like bend bars. That was why I made the entrance to the thing have the porculus thing, because it's like, here, do this straight away. Like, so one, it's easier for me because I'm just getting into it and stuff, and then 2, it lets your character shine and do one of their special abilities right away. So, and I figure your special abilities, you're gonna be casting spells all the time. So, I figured that's gonna come up. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
I still find it's kind of a weird mixture of narrative and mechanics, and probably should be a good thing, but I don't know, something about it still just, I don't know, just hasn't clicked with me yet. It felt like if we were rolling well, it was very easy, but if we started rolling poorly, I think it would have went bad really fast.
And so I've run a fair amount of Dungeon World and Monster of the Week, which are both powered by the Apocalypse and have a very similar very similar system, and we rolled very, very well tonight.
Yes.
So things went, like you say, much smoother than they normally would have. I
Right.
mean, yeah, we rolled very well tonight
But
comparatively.
I could
so-
easily see just a couple bad rolls and like we'd be dead.
Yeah.
just
No, absolutely.
Very, very quickly. So it seems really weird to have such a swingy.
well,
And like you roll, like you have this narrative fiat to say kind of what happens, but you still roll a d10 for damage. I don't know, it's like a weird mixture for me. I'm just not quite comfortable with.
Yeah.
yet.
So for the reason, the reason they like you, so I'm playing the fighter and I have a D10 damage die. So that means I'll do a D10 if I hit somebody with my sword, or if I punch them with my fist, or hit them with a rock. Each class in this in Dungeon World has their own damage dice, so it's just kind of their overall combat effective. And from a narrative side, it allows you to mix it up with your attacks. You don't always have to hit them with your sword. You could, hit them with your sword, or pick up a chair and break it over their head, or something like that.
Or you could hit them with the pommel of your sword.
Exactly.
Or something. Like
exactly.
you don't have to.
Yeah.
Like when you're describing it, it kind of gives you the free reign to say, like, as he. And what I was thinking was maybe like you would try to take your sword from him and hit it with it. Like,
yeah, that's what I was going to do if I succeeded on that
something
spear.
like that. Yeah,
But and then
you did.
I did not.
You
I
successfully
succeeded.
got
I
a spear.
successfully fell on my own sword.
Yeah.
Yes, congratulations. So, all right.
Yep.
Well, again, thanks for anyone who's watching now or in the future. We hope you enjoyed it and come back next time we play something else, board games, role-playing games, or something else.
And just one more thing.
Sure.
I was thinking, because I thought in my head the same thing. Like, what if you guys roll miserable? And I think it's kind of offset by the fact that if you're playing towards your character's skills or abilities or whatever, normally you're going to be adding 2 or at least 1, like if you're playing towards that.
Mm-hmm.
And with 2d6, the average is going to be you roll
7.
1 3 and 1 4 on a dice, or 2 3s or 2 4s. So really your average is going to be 7. But when you're adding 2 to that, it means that now you can still roll a
5.
you can roll a 5 and still be successful, and you can roll a 4 and still get an experience point. But
Yeah.
but it does kind of offset it kind of creates that curve and kind of leans it towards success. But the other thing was I had, for my plans, I had intentions on the way I was going to do the moves, because if you guys were doing miserable, I was going to do some more soft moves and do the casting stuff and things like that, because I really wasn't even doing a move, because a lot of the times you guys were being successful. So when I did do it, I went ahead and just did damage or whatever, and I just made it look fancy. But yeah, like I don't know. I enjoyed it, but
That's good.
obviously I haven't seen it where the dice rolls have went horrible. So
Yeah.
So do you think you'd run it again?
yeah. And like even with this, like I enjoy this, and I would like this. I know there's another part to this, and they do say like your first session, like not to do it as long, because
Mhm.
the prep time was great for me. That was one of my favorite things. Was I spent a lot of time. I read this book probably once and a half, like, because I read it all the way through and then went back through and read some different things. And my main thing was refreshing the things, like the special moves and the GM moves. And obviously I probably forgot some of them and like separate them and all that kind of stuff. Well, actually I did do the separate them with the porculus thing, but there really wasn't that much prep. All I did was I took photos of the fire beetle, which I made it a poison beetle, and then I took photos of the 3 gnolls they had in there, and I actually I had some other ones that I had made, but that didn't come up because you guys went a different way. But that was like the extent of my prep. It probably took me, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, like, because I just took photos and that was it.
All right.
And then I had an idea of what I wanted to happen, and I knew I was going to ask you guys like questions and stuff, and that made it easier for me too, because I didn't have to say, hey, you got this quest. Like, I'm hoping that by asking you guys what the quest was or what you were doing, you would buy into it more,
Mhm.
because you guys came up with it. So if you don't like it, then you should have came up with a better
It's
thing.
your fault. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do a better job.
But no, I did enjoy it. So, and then I'll probably, even if we don't run it again, I'll probably still do the fronts and stuff like that, just to see what it's like and if I enjoy it or not. But the Knolls obviously would probably be something. But yeah.
All right. Well, this has been Michael at the RPG Academy.
This is Rocky, Laughing Joker on Twitter.
And Brad at Force and Destiny.
And we will see you next time.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.